everyone.
Hi, Guy.
You see me
Hello,
okay?
everybody.
Hi, Ken.
How we doing?
Good.
Looking forward to the weekend.
Amen.
Been a long week.
I am
Yeah.
due.
Some notes. There it is.
So, Mike said that he might be late today, or he will likely be late today. He's able to make it well, so he asked me to run the show, but I don't have a lot to show. I think this is our open to forum week, right? Open discussion.
Yeah. I didn't send notes out from Bavaria, did I? I feel like you sent.
Don't remember seeing any.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I don't think I received them.
Hello.
I did invite a whole bunch of like 20 business owners and interested parties, so we'll see if they come. Just to I don't remember how it came. Oh yeah, I was on an event with a fellow who's doing some AI stuff, so I invited him, and everybody said, "Hey, I want to go." So, see how many new people we have today. We'll take a moment to introduce ourselves.
Hey, Troy.
Hey, how are you?
One day at a time.
Well, we'll get started, and welcome to anybody who might be new.
Yeah, I apologize for Troy, but he's my fault, you know.
Welcome, Troy.
Nice to meet y'all.
So
Troy, why don't you say who you are and what you do?
Okay. Yeah, my name is Troy Scaveland. I'm the founder of Advisory Zone. And since 2017, I've been leading a fractional CFO practice. And I happen to have a lot of clients that are in the AI space. We have other practices, but that's the one that I lead. We do a lot of work with companies that are raising money and doing strategic exits, and I'm working on 3 of them right now. In terms of like kind of AI background, I was the CFO for BeatBread, which is a AI fintech down in St. George that makes cash advances to music artists based on their streaming revenue. I'm currently the CFO for Ameritalk AI, which is a medical kind of AI-based tech company that helps pharmacies generate revenue. And I just helped sell Simex, which is a virtual reality company that has an AI component. Selling to a private equity firm called Medicine Industries. So anyway, I'm based in Lehigh. I've got clients all over the country, but I'm grateful to be included here.
Yeah, well, welcome. Sounds like you're a busy person, so
Yeah. Sounds like you could be a potential speaker for our group as well.
Well, that'd be fine. I spent, probably mentioning, I spent 12 years with the Walt Disney Company. I used to be the CFO for Disney Online.
Oh, wow.
So I was involved, done a lot with VR in addition to AI. So. Yeah, it's great to be included. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. I was telling the others that Mike, our chair, has asked me to run the meeting today because he's going to be late. And that I invited a bunch of new people. So
Hey,
to see if we
Brian
get new
Adams
people
is
here.
another one that I invited. You don't have to show yourself if you don't want, but if you're able to, Brian, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I think my video is actually having problems, so hopefully you can hear me. You may know Orbit Irrigation because of Steve Slater, our CIO. I
Sure.
have worked with him forever, have managed app dev teams, and am currently the director of IT operations. We have about 300 users. We're mostly in North Salt Lake. We were recently acquired by Husqvarna Group, and I take care of a small sysops team and that side of the department.
Good. Welcome. But what's your exposure in 30 seconds to AI and what are you hoping to get out of this group?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask. I'm trying to think what they call me, an AI multiplier for Husqvarna Group at Orbit, which I think essentially means that I help disseminate information from Husqvarna to our users. I look for use cases. I'm helping with a co-pilot pilot program. We've got, a few dozen people with licenses there that are trying to find what it's good for. So that's really it. And I'm a fly on the wall listening with interest to all of the interesting use cases you guys are bringing up. But mine is fairly vanilla.
Excellent. Well, welcome. And yeah, very good. Is anybody else first time here?
My first time here. I'm one of the ones you invited, Guy.
I thought so, Penny. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Penny. I'm based in Houston, but I work for a Utah-based company. It's an HR company. My primary use of AI has been in the marketing side, but we're also exploring how to incorporate it into our platform, looking at how to build some models for that. So
building that into your HR platform.
Yep.
Very cool. Very cool. Anybody else new? Okay. All right. So this is our third Friday. This is our open forum discussion Friday. So we often do like member demos if somebody has something cool they want to show off, or just talk about the latest AI news and how we're using AI.
Yeah, I thought we also suggested we could just recap a little bit from last week if anybody had any thoughts on Babar's presentation.
That was long ago.
I know, and I apologize. I just realized I never got his slides. I just picked them for those. I don't know. He never did send them.
I did post his video,
Oh, good.
if I recall correctly, so it's out on our YouTube channel. Yeah, I can post that channel in our links in case people wants to go check it out. But I thought Babar's presentation was really good, what I'm remembering of it. So it was interesting because he struck me more as an academic than his approach. He's pretty low key and everything, and a lot of what he said, it felt like he may not. He had a presentation designed to people who aren't very super familiar with AI, and was kind of gauging how familiar we were with AI. So we got a lot of kind of the more fundamental stuff, and then as he spoke, I realized, oh yeah, he does know a lot of the deeper stuff as well. So it was interesting.
I thought you got into the prompts a little bit. I thought that was interesting. They don't, I could almost get a full talk on that.
Yeah, that'd actually be a good topic. We should have somebody come and talk about prompt engineering.
Yeah, or how long prompt engineering is going to be a thing, um, as these models change and get smarter.
That's true. We've seen it change to where we don't have to prompt it nearly as rigorously nowadays. I feel like prompting is still somewhat critical though to get good results, especially if you're getting
Well,
into.
yeah, it's interesting because, you know, sending a prompt that's super simple with one sentence that says, before you do anything, ask me for clarification on anything that makes sense to clarify, or something like that. Then it'll just ask you those questions, just answer those, and it'll direct it, where you don't really have to think through the prompt that much.
I see what you're saying.
One of my guys that, and he's very, very familiar with ChatGPT. He started playing with Claude recently and said that it on its own started asking clarifying questions back at him that were very relevant.
Yeah, Brian, you're a little muffled, but I think I got what you were saying. And like deep research in ChatGPT, the expensive version right now, before it goes and does work, it definitely stops and asks you between 3 and 5 different clarifications before it goes and spends 10 minutes in the wrong direction.
I'm curious, what industries do you all kind of touch with the AI work that you're doing? Like I've worked in I've dealt with the music industry from an AI perspective, the medical, especially pharmacy end, and the the financial and lending side. I'm just curious for this group, like what, some of you may be straight in tech, but like the applications or the use cases, what industries do they touch? Is that okay to ask that, or I don't know?
Sure.
Yeah.
We're the main ones we're currently doing is in legal and also in like medical trials, and just actually still another one in legal that's like all doing with just disbursements of funds for mass tort filings.
Mhm.
And then more an internal retail app for a fast food place, where they're going from, small to big in number of franchises that they currently have, like up to 1,000. Those are some of the areas, and we're still doing a ton in just the training AI. Training teams on how to use AI effectively as developers. And that's not necessarily teaching people how to do AI. It's just teaching people how to use the tools that are available more efficiently as a team, as an agile team. And then I think we're really, it changes every week, but right now I think we're still really focused on building an AI agent centered practice. So that's where we are right now.
I've had quite a bit of productivity gain in software development, and so that just using AI to help me write code faster, better, stronger has been, I've seen 20 to 30% improvement fairly easily. So
Can I ask a follow-up question to Sean, because you said that you're using it in the legal industry. How are you seeing it do with that? Because I still see some hallucinations in the HR industry, so I'm just curious.
This is a very in-depth app. This is not anything remotely close to what you would get off the shelf. It's very constrained and
Right.
built out from the ground floor. This is a large platform that was built that basically we actually had this individual present here for a company called the Contract Network. And there's so much that went into building that system, and it will never be done until it dies, right? But it's a full contract negotiation platform using generative AI throughout, where it breaks up the contract into component parts. Also, basically tells you legal ramifications for anything you adjust in the contract, but then allows for negotiation without leaving that contract area, to be able to get to agreement about 85% faster than without using it. So it's just, you can't compare at all what we're doing with that to any tool that you could just start using, like a ChatGPT. Even though this is powered, parts of it are powered by ChatGPT, but it's extremely modified.
Well, you guys do a lot of RAG and you do a lot of training, or that's not training. You guys just do RAG, or the company does a lot of
Well,
RAG.
and I won't say this one is
and
even us
prompting.
doing it. This is, we were helping this other organization
Yeah.
for 2 years, but it's their software system. It's not ours. And this was the third AI company this guy came out of. He's out of MIT, and he is just brilliant. So
is it just a matter of having fed it some very specific information, or?
No, there's so much to that question of how do you actually constrain it down, and unfortunately, I'm a used to be developer, so my depth, I'm a great user of the version that you initially started asking about, which is more of what consumers use. But when it comes to the actual development side, for the real stuff, the exciting stuff that's happening, I just sit and go, wow, instead of know how. See that I
You're a
rhyme.
poet, though.
Yeah. So I apologize, Penny. I can't really answer. I just know that
Okay, no, that's
it
fine.
was a lot of work to be able to get it where they needed it. And the interesting thing is we get all excited, at least I do, whenever these new models come out, like Grok 3 this week and what have you. But then when I ask them about it, and like, the amount of work to reset up a new model is tremendously large, for the consideration for something like that when you have another model already working properly. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's just very interesting.
My impression from talking with him, I can see his face, I don't remember his name. The guy
Phil.
that came in.
Phil.
Phil?
Richards. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's very eloquent about it, but the big effort for them was getting, I would say, the prompting, but to say prompting is almost it's like
it's prompting with a lot of constraints and RAG and everything else.
Yeah. And I think there's a good parallel, Penny, for your HR software there. Like
That's why I was asking the question. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to see, and I'm seeing this pattern kind of merge in the companies that I've talked to, that you get, you do a RAG on your company data, and then you work your tail off getting the prompting right and getting all the limits and everything, getting those constraints right, so that when you ask the general AI a question, it knows exactly how you want it answered, and you're providing your data on top of the general data, and you're saying, limit it to these answers or whatever those constraints are. That's where this company spent a lot of time. I mean, they started out trying to train their own, and then they decided that that's just too expensive, and it wasn't as productive as really focusing on prompts. So
yeah, and we're talking about, multi-millions in investment in this organization as well for this build.
Yeah, and that, I mean, the wisdom that they gained will help others, like just sharing like this. I don't know that you need multi-millions now. If you wanted to take that same approach, you could kind of mimic that. And I think
Sure,
these
that's true.
approaches are getting refined better and better now, to where, when we first started this a year and a half or a little over a year ago anyway, it was like, well, how do you do this? And people were figuring it out. And it seems like, at least with the current set of technologies, there's a path that makes sense for most companies. Like, let's get in there. And some of you are, Thiago, you're nodding your head. Like, some of you have been in this more than I, and Sean, you have as well. But just the companies that I've seen, there's a path forward, and you can look at this type of RAG with heavy prompting emphasis to figure out and get the right answers back. That seems to be the path that has yielded the most success.
Yeah, and in my experience, it's all about the use case, right? So if we want to have like a transformational Gen AI project in our company, we won't get tangible results. It will take forever, a lot of money, right? So one thing that I do in my work is, before creating any pipeline of all things AI, we just have a conversation. Okay, business unit, what are the use cases you guys want to address? Let's prioritize, and let's start with one, right? Hopefully start with something that we already have. Most of the companies have enterprise MT65, so they already have Copilot. So let's start with open source or Copilot or testbed for those who have AWS. And with this one use case, we can create engagement to go to next ones. Talking specifically about the example Sean was sharing about contract AI or this type of evaluation, there are some models that we can just copy, right, from open source platforms. Microsoft has an asset that they call Contract AI, which was built with, not Microsoft, AWS. It was built with testbed, and it just like Control-C, Control-V, so we can upload documents there, and it creates all sorts of summary, risk assessment, all those things. So there are free/low money options for those to start. And as we need to create personalization and increase scalability, money will be needed, but then at least we have a baseline to start with.
Okay.
Penny, who are you with?
The company is called HR Service Inc.
All right.
And you said it's Utah based?
It's Utah based. Yeah, I'm based in Texas, but the company is based in Utah.
Well, welcome.
Welcome. Yeah.
You're asking good questions. Right. I don't know. We could also talk a little bit about some of the more traditional ML type work that a lot of companies could take advantage of. Like with your company, Penny, I imagine HR Services has quite a bit of data over the years from your clients. If I recall, you guys are basically the HR system of record, I guess, for a company. They can come in and hire you to do to take care of all the HR stuff. Do you provide services on top of that as well, or is it mostly?
So we have two different things. So we have the platform, there's two parts to that. There's the HR specific platform, and then there's the ERISA platform. And then we also do like outsourced HR management. So, we provide you all the templates and stuff, and you do it yourself in our software, or you hire us and we come in and act as your HR manager and get your HR department all in order.
Yeah. So there might be a data play there that is around. It's not so much AI, but I think you could use AI inside of it. But the idea that you can help people assess their HR, and I mean, you got a whole web page because I just wrote a blog post for you guys that
Yes.
about assessing the HR and pulling in all that industry data that you have from all the other customers and saying anonymize or comparing and saying, yeah, you might want to do this type of thing in your industry and providing that much more value for your customers.
And then, I mean, I'm looking at it more along that we've used AI in different areas, but most of the AI use within our company has been the open source chat GPT stuff. And I'm looking at actually trying to develop something that we can integrate into our software to make it easier for people to you know, and this is the part is, do we want to make it easier for them to get answers, or do we want to make it easier for them to create templates for themselves? And that's the one, you know, I'm trying to decide which one would make more sense there. The scary part is I am kind of the AI expert at our company.
Well,
And I'm just starting out in it. Like I'm just starting. I'm certified in a couple of different areas, and I'm actually going back to school to get a degree in data science specifically. So,
Well,
nice.
that's awesome. And
Yeah,
and you know, and when as soon as Guy mentioned, you know, ML, of course, there's always so much work to make sure that the data you're working with will give you the right information, because bad data gives absolutely terrible. Yeah.
yeah, I've worked primarily in Python for that kind of thing. So I don't, you know, I've done some work in R, and I don't like R all that much. That's probably an unpopular opinion. I don't know.
So I love Python. It's a good,
If it's any help, I have not heard data scientists loving R for about 10 years. It's all Python.
Okay.
R has given me a lot of headaches, so you're not finding someone who likes it on this side.
Yeah.
Well, Penny, we'll have to have you come and I mean, I'd love to hear more of your journey, and maybe in a few months we'll have you ask you to give a presentation, share
That's
what's
a scary
going
idea.
on. Okay. Well,
I'm joking, mostly.
yeah.
We are always, just to let the new people know, that we are always, because we're trying to truly give good content with new companies every other week here. So please reach out to Bettina or myself with any ideas of you know, people that we should have present.
Yeah, because we don't have anyone for next week yet, I don't think.
Yeah, we haven't. I haven't thought that much about it, unfortunately. Got to start.
I did reach out to the new czar of the AI at the U on LinkedIn, and I have not heard back from him yet. So we'll see.
Speaking of that, I might be able to pull in. You know, maybe we could talk about the work that's being done at Utah Valley University with their AI group, with Rachel, who came to our in-person AI SIG.
Yeah, she was interesting.
Yeah, I could probably pull that off. I don't know in 1 week, but I can ask her.
Well, we ought to get her coming to this more regularly. She had lots of good questions.
Yeah, are there any specific topics the group's interested in? Because, you know, as and Penny, I live half time in Dallas and half time in Utah, so I'm kind of with you. But you know, I have a lot of groups in Dallas. In fact, I went to an AI talk today about the internet, or it was IoT. So where AI hits IoT, so now it's AIoT. So the artificial intelligence of things. And it's very interesting. So there's a guy that was speaking, apparently he's quite known well, and George Brody. And I mean, so there's people like that, I could pull, but I guess I don't know what, are you just learning about more other applications that are out there that support AI? Or I know Babar last week was a little more on the, he does work for IBM, but he also runs the AI meetup in Dallas, which is the group that gets together on AI. So just do we have a theme of what we're trying to do, or just kind of anyone that has anything to do with AI?
I don't know. From our group, you mean?
Yeah, I personally love it when they're a fairly dynamic speaker that can make us just think, and kind of think of AI in a different way. I would love to have someone personally right now, just because I have some personal interests, that could really walk through just some AI agent kind of stuff and how to approach that. Even maybe a non-coding version of using N8N to be able to get things done really quickly using these services and things like that would be interesting. And I'm not ready to be the one to give that. Not yet. Maybe one of these days. What we could also move to just new things that have been happening. Who's been playing with Grok 3?
I think you have.
So
Yeah,
just to let you
yeah.
guys know, Elon Musk has made it free for everyone right now. Even all their, he initially started where it was a paid version, but now he's opened it up for everyone. And this is the system that has been, trained on the largest supercomputer in the world, his little Colossus version. They demoed yesterday a version of the snarkiness of the talking version, and it was cussing up a storm and very irreverent, very interesting, dropping F-bombs. I'm sure you can tone that down. And so that's supposed to be out, the talking version, before the 25th of this month. And so you can razz with them. And I think fighting or having that type of a conversation with an AI that never gets tired, I think I would quit way before it would. Anyway, so that's one thing. They have their own deep research, just like ChatGPT. Has anyone besides me used deep research in ChatGPT?
I have.
How do you like it, Penny?
It depends on what you're doing with it. Sometimes it gets absolutely confused.
As does anything with it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Good point. I've been more in awe of it than that. It's been, for some things, it's just been absolutely incredible. I had a query today on it where I needed to know something on how different agencies interconnect with other agencies inside of the state of Utah. And I was, just trying to figure some things out on my own. And then I'm like, oh, wait, why don't I just, and did that and just have a great report on more of the structure. And it really answered my questions super well today. And I just love also watching how it thinks as well. So anyway, that's been fun. So yeah, that's a lot that I've been doing. There's there's a guy that's been on YouTube that created, he's not a developer, but he's created this amazing app he basically replaced the product Todoist with an AI first application. AI first meaning you just talk to it and say, hey, I want to do a project about this and it needs to do this. And it'll go ahead and from a brief little thing like that, it'll make a project up, put all of the different things in it as tasks in a task manager for you. But you can just continue to talk to this and it will just manage everything. Now it's still new. It's just in beta right now, but it's an AI first application, just like what we used to talk about mobile first, right? And it's called Vectal.ai. Look it up. The guy's on YouTube and he's documented his entire journey. And I think he's only been doing this for about 3 months. And he had this use case, built the product, has it up online now. There is a version that you can pay for. He's already making about $7,000 a month personally out of his little thing on this product that he's built. And good for him. And I'm sure he's making money from YouTube for people watching him as well. He's out of like Dubai. Anyway, it's just an interesting story where a non-developer can build an application just by hitting his head against the wall and talking to large language models and using products like Windsurf or something to get the development done. Anyway, it's inspiring. I'm not going to quit my job to do that anytime soon.
That's pretty cool.
It's tempting if I were, but I first have to know what I would do with that time. But
Hey guys, just an update for you guys. I don't know if you noticed, but they removed tasks from ChatGPT I have the whatever plus version or whatever.
They did. I just ran mine this morning and it still ran.
Yeah, well, I have some scheduled ones and they're still running somewhere in the ether, but I have no way of interacting with them. My tasks little button icon thing is no longer appearing on my ChatGPT interface. When I asked ChatGPT about it, they confirmed that they were removed. So they're still running, but I have no way of changing them or interfacing with them.
I beg to differ. I see them on mine right now.
But you have the Pro plan, correct?
Yeah, but I don't know that matters. So are you on it right now?
Yeah.
So if you hit on yourself, the little icon with you on it,
yeah,
the very top thing doesn't say tasks?
Nope, says my GPTs, first thing.
Oh.
Mine does.
Mine has the tasks too.
Yeah, mine does too.
Oh, Rob.
What's happening?
It's personal.
Yeah, maybe it is. They conned me into it. I bought the API, so I've been using the API.
Let's see. Let's ask ChatGPT with that, and I'm not gonna.
Oh, you know what? You know what it is? Oh, I just realized because I got their desktop app, and I've been using their desktop app.
In.
No. I signed in on their desktop app, but their desktop app does not have tasks.
Oh yeah.
I did not realize that. It's only on the web version that has tasks. How about that?
There you go.
Well, anyway,
Leading us astray.
So sorry, but hey, I came across something else that I do feel like is helpful. I was listening to a podcast this morning. It was referencing some older data, but I say older, I guess in IT terms, a couple months older, for research on how AI is learning off of synthetic data or data generated by AI, and how that's degrading the value of the data itself and making making it more likely to generate false information. And it's kind of like a snake eating its own tail. So that was on NPR. I can put a link to the
That'd be cool.
thing, but there's an image, and it just shows an example. Let me put this in the chat. An image, I think, speaks louder than anything else. So here's the Rice article that they did the study on, and here is the I think this is the little podcast here. But the study, if you look on the link from Rice, if you scroll down, you'll see where there's handwriting, and on the far left side where someone wrote 0 to 9 and then had AI try to replicate that by itself over and over and over and over and over using the next one as the source. You can see how it slowly gets worse and worse and worse as it uses its own data as the input. And that's what they were trying to use that as a method of understanding that you have to have fresh data to pull off of.
And
Anyway,
my idea with that is
It's a good point.
I think it just really depends on how you're doing it, if there's other ways to do it. So because I've heard examples that say totally the opposite of what you're saying when it comes to synthetic data, but it's probably not doing it like this. So I don't know.
So I think the concept in this article is about, like, if you're using AI on your own data set, in your own you're providing the data. That's one thing. But if you're using it to do research online, to just say, hey, give me information on whatever, and you're relying on AI in general to provide you the information, whether that's in, let's say, legal information or medical information or whatever, and it's having to go out and search that. I think that's where this plays a big part. Is how, if it's learning on its own synthetic data, there has to be some form of error control in that. And they said, which is true, that how much error, there could be error in the data itself, there could be error in the model itself, and checking that. It was very interesting in listening to that podcast. It's worth a listen.
Love it.
There is definitely validity to it. There is a compounding error effect unless you have some algorithm that goes through the process of validating the correctness of the information that's being trained.
Right.
Right. That's one of the reasons they have the deep reasoning component of the solution, is to have it go through and try to say, you've given me some information, or I'm getting this new information I'm being trained on. Is it really applicable, or is it really contextual, right?
Yep.
And so then it goes through that. But there is definitely, it's not a linear progression, right? It's more asymptotic when you start getting errors and they compound and compound, and
That's right.
you can get very bad results. But I was going to say, when we were talking about the reasoning model earlier, I gave it a context yesterday that I was a Volkswagen master technician. And then I gave it my son's 2023 Volkswagen GTI Model S, and gave it the VIN and said the problem it was having. And it went and found me all the service bulletins, what the repair, history is, it found all of that stuff. And the reason it was important is the technician at Volkswagen kept telling my son that it's not a problem that exists. And so I was able to show him that not only is it a problem, there's actually a service bulletin telling you how to fix it.
Oh my goodness.
And so it was useful. it can be very useful if you give it enough context. It will go dig and find
Was that the
excruciating.
deep
Yeah,
research, or was
that
that
was the
okay.
deep. Yeah, the deep. Yeah, so it was able to find things that I could not believe with respect to just that topic.
And it's really interesting because Kenneth, I've done very similar things where it's a little myopic kind of a thing that you're looking at, and it does a lot in the 5 to 10 minutes it goes off. Yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah, and this one didn't even take 10 minutes. It came back much quicker than I expected. Maybe everybody was searching for this same thing this week. I don't know, but it came right back in less than a minute, I think, or just over, and had the results for me. So I was quite surprised, but extremely useful. So if you ever have a problem with your mechanic, you can keep him honest.
As long as you know how to ask the question, right?
As long as you know how to ask the question. Domain, not context, is everything. As I have said about everything since I first started programming, context. Yeah. It's all about context.
I see it. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, it's been fascinating just using the different, because of, now I have access to Gemini's deep research and Grok's deep research, as well as OpenAI's, it's interesting. Nothing is as comprehensive as OpenAI currently, but that I don't know how long they'll stay supreme in that area.
So is the process that the deep research is different than general query, because it's actually going out to the internet during that research and pulling in more information and processing? Is that what I'm understanding? Or
yeah, it'll go out on the internet. It'll actually read full PDFs. It'll do its own thing, and based on those results, it'll go and do other things. And that's why it's gone for 10 minutes. So you can watch progress while it's going and doing all of these different things. And it normally goes out and it normally hits around 15 to 25 different resources on the web. The deep research or big brain or whatever it is called for Grok, they'll hit over 100 resources, and it's much faster. But it's not as verbose with the answer, but it's the whole thing is way faster. It's so much faster than ChatGPT and all that it does. But it's also still not even done being fine-tuned. So it's actually a kind of a different product almost every day still, as it is settling down. And that's one of the reasons why I think they realized that their computers weren't gonna that it wasn't really stressing them too much, or they figured some things out, and they just said everybody can use it right now, and they just want to train it faster before they lock it back down under a paywall. So right now they have an $8 version a month, and I think a $16 version. But then the main one, the highest level with Grok, is $40 a month, and that's where you get everything. Well, you get everything right now for free, but I think it sounds way more like I write out of the box, and that's one thing that I really like with it. It's more, in fact, it a lot of times just totally beats the AI sniffers completely, where they say it's 100% human. As far as that.
So deep research does OpenAI's?
No, I'm talking about Grok.
Grok, okay.
Grok 3.
Sign up.
Really? I hadn't heard that.
I've seen it in videos where they actually the same prompt to 4 different versions, whether it's OpenAI and Google's and Anthropic's, as well as in Grok's by far, at least in the examples that I saw, where the responses were not AI detectable.
So I wonder if they're that good on papers, dissertation level or domain level papers. Because I remember there being actually, I remember seeing a professor in economics and political economics, right? And he took 2 papers and he said, "Oh, this one's fake." And all he had done was read the first 2 sentences, and he knew that it was just a fraud. And it's because it used all these cliches that are used in the domain, that just were a tip off. And compare it to a student, and he's like, students don't do that, they don't.
Well, unfortunately, there's many cases of kids that have been able to prove that they weren't using ChatGPT, and they've been kicked out of programs because professors have said that they did, and that's the other part of it as well. How do you,
He was 100 for 100 though. They kept putting papers in front of him, and he said, "Yep, that one's garbage."
Yeah, I'm not saying that in that particular case. I've just heard of a whole, of people that have been, unjust penalized. Yeah.
I know that. I know that when I finished my graduate school recently, and that was right before ChatGPT came out. I put some of my own past work through a validation thing for AI, and it said my own work was generated by AI.
Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about, Rob, is then you could have been flagged as even though you're using a paper that was written before the AI, before you knew how to even use it, because it wasn't readily available.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that they look for certain things that, like if you use proper grammar, or if you are like most people who code are not sloppy coders. They're really, spacing matters, punctuation matters, the way they do stuff.
Yeah.
And they look at that as being like, well, that has to be written by a machine. Yeah, a machine. I'm serious.
The case of code.
I'm sure I'd be a bot then.
Right.
Yeah.
Even when I text, people tell me I shouldn't be using periods, and I'm like, sorry, that's just how I.
Right. Most developers, every developer I've ever met is like, if you look over, if someone else is, God forbid, I remember this was so funny to have someone else touching a developer's code, and the developer would be like, can you click space right there? They were like super anal about where spacing was. And I'm like, AI is going to pick up on stuff like that, because they're going to think that the person isn't real. But developers really are that way. I mean, that's just the way they are.
Well, especially if it's, I remember one system that we were on, we had 122 C++ developers on a project with 450 people at IBM, and every single lick of code was code reviewed for all of that.
Coding standards control
and everything.
Oh, I mean, it was strict to get anything past everybody, and it came down to, everything was commented the same way, all of the, and
well, and I think developers and engineers in general are not your typical people that AI is getting trained on, right? So you look at their detail, or I mean, we self-select to this field because we're detail oriented, right?
Wasn't a bunch of this.
I was when I was a developer.
Dave had something to say. Drop some wisdom.
Isn't all of the content that coders have pushed out to the public forums the AIs have actually been trained, I think, quite a bit on the code. So our coding standards that we enforced over the years are now coming back to bite us, basically. Because everyone had specific. Are you using camel? Are you using,
Yeah.
very specific and patterned? And then all of that was posted because everyone wanted everyone to see their code. And all of a sudden, if it's structured, must be AI.
Gene, none of the professors I took classes from were thrown
Yeah.
by code that was pristine.
Right.
None of them were thrown.
The most complicated class I ever took in grad school, they made you sit in a group with 5 people, and they gave you 20 sentences, and you had to correct them or confirm that they were correct. And it was like the most painful thing I've ever done. Because you really quickly realize that not everyone has a similar background in grammar and spelling and things like that. And I had a very strong grammar teacher, and I've been an avid reader my whole life. I'm usually reading 5 books at a time. And so I was really strong at that. But I had to eventually go to the English lab to prove to the other people in my group that I was right. So I can understand why they would suspect that if you're good at some of these things that you would be a bot, because I mean, I had everyone saying I was wrong and had to go get the experts to prove that I wasn't. So
I mean, this is kind of one of those, I think it highlights a subtle shift that we're going to see in our society, in part because of AI, and in part because of, I'm not sure why, but I think the rising generation is a lot less detail oriented. Like I take pride in that my code looks good, right? That it's intelligible, understandable. And I think a lot of, I don't want to badmouth them, but I think the need for that level of detail is going to go away. It's not going to be part of my brain or part of their brains. It's going to be like, that's the AI's job. I'm going to make sure that the business logic works.
Yeah, but as long as the other aspect, Guy, is that maybe that's true, or maybe AI.
It's not like our code's going to get worse, though. It's going to be structured as good as or better than what we do it now, but it's going to be AI's job, and it's not going to occupy their brain. It's not going to be a source of pride for them. It's not going to be.
Yeah, I agree. I have heard many things that the worry that that people are just getting dumber already because AIs are,
I thought that was a quote about books, when they started publishing books and people were like, no, books make you so you can't remember things.
Well, but consider how dumb the pioneers probably think we are, because we don't know how to grow food. We don't know how to ride a horse. Well, not some of us do, I'm sure, but it's like, you don't know how to do these
things we forgot.
Well, this is how technology gets lost, just like we don't know how the Egyptians moved those giant stones.
Yeah.
How they carried them and moved them.
No, that was aliens. We know.
So someone here really likes ancient aliens, huh?
Did you ask Grok that? Is that what he told you?
Yeah, do some deep research on that.
Oh, I've forgotten the phone numbers of all my kids because it's in my phone.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long.
Sure.
Although I can still remember my best friend's phone number from childhood.
Exactly.
See, I wish I could be like that. My brain holds on to numbers. I somehow just randomly memorize numbers, and I'm like, why am I memorizing this?
So Guy, or I know it's not really going to be you in a couple of weeks, but in a couple of weeks we might, we could think about doing things like this where we all are given an assignment to read or listen to an audible book on a certain thing. Who brought this one up last week? AI snake oil.
It was Matt, wasn't it? Matt Goldsberry.
That's not on right now.
I've been going
he was in a while ago.
And it's amazing how outdated a lot of this is, even though, because it's like a year old, and even though it probably only just came out, but there's the editing process and everything like that.
Yeah.
but that could be something as far as for one of these off weeks. If we wanted to, we could decide if there's a certain, we could, next time we could say, hey, what should we all study and talk through our thoughts on maybe the next time we get together or something like that. If you want.
I'll love
I
that.
like that idea.
I second it. All in favor? Aye.
So we're making this a book club now?
That's what I was just thinking. It's a
I mean,
club.
I'm good with that. I just want to make sure.
As long, hey, if it stays in topic of, we could certainly spend some time thinking about.
We could do it once a month, dude. I don't know that we have
Yeah.
to do it every other week, but just
No, yeah, or once every other month, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I love that.
thought.
Okay, so we need
Well,
Can we start with the AI snake oil?
we could. We've got 1 minute left to make a decision, and then our
I
time's
do
up.
not have any. I'm already reading it. It's actually, it's fine. It kind of bugs me sometimes, but maybe that's a good thing for a
I
conversation.
started. I didn't get too far yet, though.
So I would propose the coming wave.
Okay.
I really like that
Okay.
one. It's
What is it about?
Well, it's Mustafa's his name. Anyway, he's the AI guy for Microsoft now, but he's been in AI his whole career and just talks about waves of technology and how they impact and how so he's a proponent of safe AI and putting some safeguards in ourselves so we don't just run past the borders like we did with whaling and some of the other oil exploration, things like that, where we just ran so fast that we kind of really decimated the resource. So anyway, but yeah, and so he takes us through some history, takes you through the different technology waves that could, if they crest the same time, could superimpose and really wreak havoc in some ways. But so it's not, yeah. In the end, he's optimistic, but he's trying to point out some risks that that may.
So the summary says an urgent warning of the unprecedented risks that AI and other fast developing technologies pose to global order and how we might contain them while we have the chance. And that is what this book is about.
It's interesting because when I was the CFO for Neuralink for a while, one of Elon Musk's companies, and the tech they were using was not the innovation challenge for them, because Elon tends to, in most cases, use technologies that are already available. He just applies them in really compelling ways to real problems. But the biggest issue they had was the security, because like if you can put AI into someone's brain, how do you prevent someone from hacking them? I mean, it gets into espionage really quick. Imagine having somebody, you're the Manchurian candidate in moments. And so it was really fascinating. And interestingly enough, Neuralink shared office space with OpenAI at the time. So it's been very interesting to watch that breakup there and all the kind of civil war, because it was the CEO of Neuralink used to work at OpenAI. And anyway, but that ethics and how do you avoid bad outcomes because of bad actors is super relevant.
Yeah.
If we do the coming wave or whatever, I'm fine doing that. I think we should at least give probably a month from now before we had actually talked about it, and we can bring it up next week that we're doing that if you want.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. I think we should. Well, I'll let Mike know that we want to do that and see if you want. I think we send out a group email saying, hey, these are this. We could even give everybody a vote if we wanted to, just say vote on one of these 3 books and send us your recommendations for others, and we'll try to do a book a month or something like that. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, maybe half the time we use up. We don't have to spend that much time doing it, but
yeah,
I think it's important for a group like this to continue learning, not just in this manner. So. Awesome.
very good.
Thank you all.
And
Nice.
Tom,
Nice to
did
meet
you
you
want
all.
to talk about speakers next
Okay.
time or
Stickers,
speakers?
speakers.
Yeah.
Hopefully we have a new speaker for next week by then, but
Okay. Do you have someone in mind?
maybe.
Okay. There's a bunch of people listed on Trello that other people had put there before. I don't know if we could go back and look at those.
I think
Uh,
MZ put
I don't know if
most
this
of those.
group is involved in capital raises for this kind of stuff, but I know someone who may be. I don't know if you guys have dealt with Gamma before, but it's a AI tool for creating pitch decks.
Oh, nice.
Want to like kind of off the beaten path topic? I know someone that could probably give it. A
You know, we haven't had someone that is an investor in AI as a speaker, but that would be fascinating to basically say, you know, what are you looking for? You know, and so yeah,
How-
if you
how are
have
you
if
picking
you have
winners in
someone
this
that you
crazy
could
thing?
reach out to,
Yeah, it
so
could be someone that way. The other is like this is someone who can show you how you can harness AI to like dramatically simplify putting all your materials together to go raise money. So
I,
either one of
that
those,
sounds great too.
I mean,
Either
if
would be
you're interested
interesting.
in either one, I'm happy to talk to some folks.
Yeah, that'd be great, Troy.
We're interested in both. Talk to them.
Okay, I'll get back to you.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
The guys.